Other guys find me captivating. My girlfriend smirked. I terminated 6 credit cards, 3 subscriptions, and 1 car lease. Now she's penniless and pleading for my help. My girlfriend told me to elevate my standards. So I dismantled her entire way of life in 72 hours and watched her fall apart without my support. I was with one ex for 4 years and planned to propose to her. One night while out with friends, I caught her kissing another man in a car at a traffic light. 3 days later, I told her I was visiting my brother. He never mentioned his location, only that he lived out of state. That was 30 years ago, and she still has no clue where I am. She's been married and divorced 3 times since then. She wed the guy she cheated with, then betrayed him too. I've been blissfully married for 22 years. This is a separate anecdote. This man saw his girlfriend cheating 30 years ago, and instead of causing a scene or trying to fix things, he simply vanished. Clean exit. No drama, no pleading, no let's talk it out. Just gone. Look at the outcome. She's been married twice and still hasn't learned her lesson, cheating on the guy she left him for. Meanwhile, he's been happily married for 22 years. 22 years. This is something we often reflect on. When someone reveals their true character, trust them the first time. This guy didn't need multiple chances to see she wasn't wife material. He saw what he needed to, made his choice, and stuck to it. The fact that she still doesn't know his whereabouts 30 years later shows his commitment to moving on. This is how you deal with betrayal, gentlemen. Swift, resolute, and final. If you have similar stories, share them in the comments. I'll feature them in my upcoming videos. Now, let's dive into the story. She responded, "I can't help it if other guys find me captivating. Maybe you should raise your standards." When I saw her give her number to a stranger, I said, "You're right." The next day, her name was wiped from everything I financed. Her things were packed, and her phone stopped working. She called me 23 times in a single day. I'm 34, male, and Brianna, my now ex-girlfriend of 3 years, said I needed to up my game. So I did. Here's the thing, she didn't expect it to happen like this. Saturday night, we went to Copper Mill, a trendy downtown bar, to celebrate her friend Chloe's new job. The place was buzzing. A typical weekend vibe with good music and flowing drinks. Brianna looked stunning in her red dress, which cost more than most people's monthly rent. She always dressed to turn heads. Around 10 p.m., I was chatting with a guy about football when I noticed Brianna at the bar with another man. Tall, sharply dressed, mid-30s, looking like he walked out of a fashion ad. Nothing unusual there. Brianna drew attention wherever we went. That's part of dating someone like her. But then I saw her laughing at his joke, leaning closer, pulling out her phone. She typed something, handed it to him, and he typed back. They pocketed their phones, and she touched his arm, laughing again. I strolled over, keeping my cool. When the guy saw me coming, he slipped away fast. Smart move. What was that about? I asked, my tone steady. Brianna turned with a smug grin. Oh, that? Some guy asked for my number, so I gave it to him. You gave him your number? I repeated. She shrugged like it was no big deal. I can't help it if other guys find me captivating, Albert. Maybe you should raise your standards. Her tone was patronizing, like I should be thankful she even bothered with me. Chloe and 2 other friends watched the whole exchange. Some looked uneasy, others hid smirks. You're right, I said. I need to step it up. She grinned, thinking she'd won some kind of victory. Glad you're getting it, she said. I grabbed my coat and headed for the door. Brianna called after me, asking where I was going, but I kept walking.
Chi des figures au-dessous de neuf.
Update 1. The next morning, Sunday, I woke up with laser focus. Time to raise my standards, as Brianna suggested. I started by reviewing our setup.
My appartement, my lease, my name alone.
Brianna moved in 18 months ago but kept dodging signing the lease, complaining about paperwork. Her mistake. Here's the catch, even though she wasn't on the lease, she had tenant rights after staying so long. I couldn't just kick her out legally, that'd take weeks of formal notice, so I got creative. Started with the financials. Brianna's car lease was in her name, but I'd been covering payments for a year because she claimed she was short on cash. I called the leasing company and said I'd no longer cover her payments. Effective immediately. They said they'd notify the primary leaseholder about payment options. Next, her phone. She was on my family plan, saving her about $60 a month. I called the carrier and removed her line from my account. They said it'd take effect at the end of the billing cycle, in 3 days. Then car insurance. She was listed as a driver on my policy, but her car wasn't covered. She had her own policy for that. I removed her as an authorized driver from mine. Then the credit cards. She had secondary cards on 2 of my accounts for emergencies. Called both banks, revoked her access, and canceled the cards. They said the cards would stop working in 24 hours. Gym membership. Same deal. She used my family plan. I called and cut her access immediately. The apartment was trickier because of her tenant rights. I couldn't change locks or remove her stuff without legal steps, but I could plan ahead. Rented a storage unit for 6 months, paid up front. Then I wrote her a letter stating our relationship was over, I'd no longer fund her lifestyle, and she had 30 days to find a new place, as required by law. Polite, professional, and legally sound. I left the letter on the kitchen counter where she'd see it when she got home from wherever she'd gone after the bar. Update 2: Brianna came home around 7 p.m. Sunday, still in her Saturday night outfit, looking slightly rough. I was in the living room, reading. She walked in, saw the letter, picked it up, and read it. Her face cycled through emotions: confusion, anger, shock, panic, then back to anger. "Albert, what is this?" she shouted, waving the letter. "It's a 30-day notice to vacate," I said calmly. "Also, I'm no longer paying for any of your expenses, effective immediately." "You can't be serious." "Completely serious, Brianna. You told me to raise my standards last night, so I took a hard look. Turns out I was bankrolling someone who hands out her number to strangers and says I'm not good enough. That's not what I meant, and you know it." "That's exactly what you meant, Brianna. You made it clear other guys are more exciting than me. So go be captivating on someone else's budget." An hour later, she tried ordering food delivery with her card. Declined. Tried the second card. Same result. That's when the frantic calls started. "Albert, my cards aren't working," she said when I picked up the "That's right, Brianna. You're no longer authorized on my accounts. How am I supposed to eat? How am I supposed to function?" "The way adults do, Brianna. Use your own money, your own cards, your own resources." She hung up and called back immediately. I sent it to voicemail. Update 3: 2 days later, Monday morning, reality hit hard. Brianna's car payment was due, and the leasing company called her about payment arrangements. She came to me in a panic. "Albert, they're saying if I don't pay by Wednesday, they'll start repossession." "With what money? You know I don't have that kind of cash saved." "That's a budgeting issue, Brianna, not my problem. You've been paying it for a year, you can't just stop." "I can, Brianna. Watch me." She spent Monday calling friends, trying to borrow money. Chloe lent her enough for the car payment but made it clear it was a one-time deal. Tuesday, her phone service was cut off. She called me from Chloe's phone. "Albert, my phone's dead," she said. "That's because you're off my plan, Brianna. Get your own service." "How am I supposed to do that without money?" "Figure it out, Brianna. You're captivating, remember? Maybe one of your admirers can help." Wednesday, she tried a new approach. She showed up at my office during lunch. Security called, saying a woman was in the lobby asking for me. I went down and saw Brianna, looking frantic and desperate. "Albert, please," she begged. "I can't afford all this on my own. You know that." "Then you shouldn't have told me to raise my standards, Brianna. This is what that looks like." "I'm sorry about Saturday. I was drunk, I was being dumb." "You were being honest, Brianna. For the first time, you showed me what you really think of me." "That's not true. You said other guys find you captivating and I need to step up." Mission accomplished. I walked back to my office, leaving her in the lobby. Update 4: 1 week later, by the end of the first week, Brianna was crashing at Chloe's, draining her savings to keep up her lifestyle. Losing her gym membership hit her hard. She went there daily to be seen. Chloe called me Thursday night, exasperated. Albert, this is getting out of hand. Brianna's driving me nuts, refusing to find her own place, just whining about fixing things with you. There's nothing to fix, Chloe. She told me what she thought of me Saturday night. It was one dumb comment, Albert. You're ruining her life over it. I'm not ruining anything, Chloe. I'm just not funding it anymore. Big difference. You're being spiteful. I'm being rational, Chloe. Why would I support someone who thinks other guys are more captivating? Brianna tried entering the apartment building Friday, but the front desk stopped her. They called me, saying someone claimed to live there. She's not on the lease, I said. She's a guest who's moving out. Don't let her up without my permission. The weekend was quiet, but Monday brought new desperation. Brianna's mom, Diane, called me. Albert, she said, this is getting ridiculous. Brianna's falling apart. You need to sort this out. Diane, with respect, your daughter told me other guys find her captivating and I should raise my standards. I raised them by walking away. She made a mistake, Albert. Everyone does. Some mistakes have bigger consequences, Diane. This is one of them. You're being harsh. I'm being consistent, Diane. I don't bankroll people who give their numbers to strangers. Update 5. 2 weeks later, Brianna's 30-day notice was halfway done, and she hadn't made progress finding a place. She was couch surfing between Chloe's and other friends, wearing out her welcome. She tried one last desperate move. She showed up at the apartment with a locksmith, claiming she'd lost her key and needed access. The building manager called me first. Sir, there's a woman here with a locksmith requesting entry to your unit. Don't let them in, I said. She doesn't live here anymore, and I haven't authorized any locksmith. The locksmith told Brianna he needed the owner's permission and left. She called me, furious. Albert, my stuff's in there. I have a right to it. You have a right to collect your things with notice during reasonable hours, Brianna. You don't have a right to bring locksmiths to my place.
I need my stuff now.
Text me a time that works for you, Brianna. I'll be there while you pack, and you can move on with your captivating life. She hung up but texted an hour later, asking to come by Wednesday evening. I agreed. Wednesday, she arrived with Chloe and a small moving truck. It took 3 hours to pack her things. I watched to ensure nothing of mine was taken, but stayed out of their way. Brianna stood in the empty bedroom, stunned it was really happening. Albert, she said softly, this doesn't have to be over. We can fix this.
You told me to raise my standard, Brianna.
This is what that looks like. Find someone who thinks you're worth fighting for. Chloe drove off with Brianna and her belongings. I changed the locks that night, just in case. Final update. 1 month later, it's been a month since I raised my standards, and the results are incredible. Not just for me, but for Brianna's understanding of how the world works. She found a studio apartment across town, but her parents had to co-sign because her credit wasn't strong enough. Chloe says she's working extra hours to cover bills she didn't realize I was paying. Car payments, phone bills, insurance, gym fees, streaming services. They add up when you're footing the bill yourself. Being captivating doesn't pay the rent. She reached out a few times through mutual friends, sending apologies, saying she's learned her lesson, begging for another chance. My response stays the same. She got what she asked for. The irony is her Saturday night comment was meant to make me work harder, fight for her attention, prove my worth. Instead, it made me see my own value and stop funding someone who didn't appreciate it. Chloe stopped playing mediator after realizing Brianna wasn't looking for solutions, just someone to. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more heartfelt tales.
Your support means everything.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.